The Adahi Tanu program. Cars Plus, reminding you to put your phone down while driving. Distractions won't get you there. Heads up, Guam. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurants, always open, always local, and serving up favorites for over 40 years.
Ahead on Prime Time, GPD investigating one of their own after a wallet was reported stolen at a store in Chalampago. Plus, the latest on the complaints filed by the union representing DOC. And GovGuam employees with accounts at Coast 360 see delays in their payroll direct deposits.
Hafna, good evening. I'm Adriana Cotero. The Guam Police Department investigates one of its own after a wallet is reported stolen at a mom-and-pop store in Chalampago.
These videos turned over to the Guam Police Department. A man walking from the cashier sees a wallet on the ground and picks it up. He walks out of the store and gets into his white-colored sedan, goes through the wallet, and apparently takes out cash.
Yeah, right, correct. He took out money from the wallet.
According to Chalampago Familia Mart owner Ron Patel, on Thursday night, the owner of that wallet walked in, but apparently dropped it on the floor. So around 9 o'clock last night, that's when the individual lost his wallet?
Right.
And then he came
and
in.
The guy just like this, the guy came this morning and he was asking like, can you check your camera about I lost my wallet here or outside of the parking lot?
Police also arrived this morning and are in receipt of these same videos, and sources say they don't have to go far to pinpoint the suspect.
I know my cashier told me who took the wallet. I think he's a police officer because he's a regular customer.
Oh, he's a regular customer to your store,
yes.
And that he's a police
Right.
officer.
Yeah, and I think my cashier told me I think he's a police officer because my cashier saying him every day, right?
Police spokesperson Paul Tapau could not provide any information as to the identity of the suspect other than there is an active investigation, and confirms a complaint has in fact been filed regarding the incident. Meanwhile, KUAM has learned the police officer is assigned to executive security at Government House. Adelup Director of Policy, Carlo Branch, reacts saying their understanding is the matter is under GPD investigation and defer all questions to Paul Tapau at this time.
The union representing Department of Corrections officers filed several complaints yesterday, and today the Guam Federation of Teachers says the response and lack of action on issues at the prison forced the union to take action. Chris Burnett has more.
Guam Federation of Teachers Field Rep Robert Koss filed complaints yesterday with the Federal Bureau of Prisons, the U.S. Department of Labor, and local DOL office regarding unsafe working conditions at the island's prison. The complaints cite reckless endangerment, excessively long shifts, failure to pay overtime, failure to provide radios for officers, and failure to provide protective gear to prevent officers from contracting contagious diseases from inmates by DOC Director Samantha Brennan. Koss also said the disbanding of the prison's Special Operations Response Team jeopardizes officers' lives. He says the reaction to two anonymous letters stating officers' concerns about these issues from Brennan, senators, and the administration forced the union's hand into taking action.
I saw it as a cry for help, and that cry for help was responded to with comments like, well, it's anonymous, so we're not going to entertain it. We're going to do an investigation and get to the bottom of this. We're going to find out who's filing these complaints. Those were concerning responses. I would think that employee safety issues would have captured someone's attention, but that wasn't the case. It's surprising to me that they seem to be trying to hold the employees accountable for the short staffing. A decision management made to save money.
KUAM has reached out to Brennan repeatedly for comments and clarification on prison issues, but Brennan has told us she doesn't do on-camera interviews and she hasn't been responsive to our requests. We asked her for comments on the complaint filings today, and she didn't respond. Koss also called out Brennan for being unwilling to sit down and address corrections staff's concerns. Corrections officers joined the Guam Federation of Teachers Union this year.
Samantha Brennan has not made herself accessible to the union. She has put her attorney between the union and herself, and we're not able to come meet with her like we are other agencies and discuss the issues that are facing her and her employees and work with her directly to resolve these issues. And that forces us to look beyond the agency, beyond the government of Guam, to try and find ways to solve our problems.
While calls 24-hour shifts, unsafe working conditions, and unpaid overtime major labor law violations, local DOL head Dave Delasola said in a release, quote, "We're working to see which of the 5 concerns fall under the jurisdiction of Guam Department of Labor." Koss said he understands Delasola serves at the pleasure of the governor and that he's sure the labor director will come to a solution that's favorable to the governor. But he also says he's making an effort to exhaust his options locally before escalating action.
I get the sense that the feds will not step in until our local government's had an opportunity to deal with the problem first.
Koss said he appreciates the governor's recent meetings with corrections staff and her efforts to bring on 40 more corrections officers, but he adds that relief is needed for DOC staff right now.
Our concern is that these remedies she's offering appear to be months away. The manner in which the prison is run, the manner in which the agency is run seems to be predicated on violation of law and placing employees at risk, and that's just not acceptable.
For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
Koss confirms he was called to Adelup late this afternoon to meet with Governor Lou Leon Guerrero to discuss prison issues and the complaints filed. In other news, the lawyer for the Chamorro Land Trust Commission confirms that a tentative settlement has been reached with the U.S. Justice Department over its complaint that the Land Trust Act is racially discriminatory. But details of the agreement have not been released, as it's still subject to further review by the DOJ leadership and the governor's office. Nestor Lecanto reports.
The sides have been in settlement talks at the district court the past 2 days. Documents state a tentative agreement was reached by the parties subject to legislative approval and that the case is stayed and the trial date and all related deadlines have been vacated. CLTC attorney Mike Phillips.
In terms of the specifics, I'm not allowed to go over any of that. You have the document that indicates that there's a tentative settlement. What would usually happen is, like I guess specifically in this case, the governor would need to review, and she has her representatives that will be briefing her regarding how settlement discussions are going. And the Department of Justice obviously has layers of supervisors and people that make the final decision.
The Justice Department filed a complaint in 2017 that the Land Trust Act discriminated by race and was unconstitutional. The CLTC argued that it was open to all who became citizens by virtue of the federal government's enactment of the Organic Act and who were also the subject of land takings.
The judge in this case made it very clear, without committing a position. She made it very clear at the beginning when there was an attempt to by the United States to win this on the pleadings, that if Guam could show, in fact, that it was more of a land restoration program, then she would be open if this is really the only way of doing something like that.
Again, Phillips declined to discuss specifics of the settlement, but as far as the Chamorro Land Trust Act goes,
everything is still a green light, and the commission continues to process applications and do what they do. Yeah, there's no halt on that. Our whole goal is to keep the program going. That's our mission. And so if we accomplish that, then, our arguments are really secondary. It's continuing that program, and that's what I think everybody on Team Guam has done a really good job of trying to do.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
GovGuam employees with accounts at Coast 360 saw delays in their payroll direct deposits today. The Department of Administration said the delays were caused by a process change requested by the bank, but Coast 360 said in a separate statement that if they wanted to clarify that the process change was initiated by DOA and its bank. While DOA says it's transmitted all payroll amounts in time in the normal course of business, Coast 360 says it received the funds and files necessary to process at 11 a.m. Friday and does not expect to receive the money until Saturday morning, which it says it will then post immediately. DOA Director Edward Byrne says they have a difference of opinion with the credit union, but they agree that we are working together. And the Office of the Attorney General has motioned to dismiss the following 3 misdemeanor cases on former Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority board members. The various defendants are accused of violating the open government law. According to the AG's office, this decision comes after a jury found the first case involving 3 former GURA employees not guilty, stating, quote, "The people evaluated the strength of its case against the remaining defendants and determined that dismissal of the criminal charges was appropriate," end quote. Defense counsel Jay Arreola represents defendant Deanne Torrey. He tells KUAM they are grateful the case has been dismissed, but that it's taken a while and was a long time coming.
Should probably have dismissed this case long ago, when they originally realized that it was an overcharged and a mischarged case. From the get-go, the GURA defendants relied on the advice of not one, but 2 lawyers and numerous staff members and management at GURA that permitted and continued to permit these types of working sessions and site visits to occur. Deanne Torrey never violated the law. She never committed any type of official misconduct.
Arreola went on to say that in this case, the government has dissuaded members of the community from serving on boards and commissions, stating that it's just overall a bad thing. And as we've reported, the defense counsel in trial heavily questioned former executive director Marcel Camacho, whom the government never charged.
Mr. Camacho and Mr. DePonte, the current director, and even the former director, Mr. Duenas. And really, this falls right on their lap.
The motion for dismissal is with prejudice, and Arreola says they are entitled to have the case expunged from the client's records. More news from Superior Court. The jury reached a verdict and found defendant Jason Song not guilty on first and second degree criminal sexual conduct charges, but guilty for illegal drug possession and delivering a Schedule II controlled substance as a lesser included offense. During trial, the defendant was acquitted of delivery of a controlled substance to a minor and possession with intent to deliver charges. Song was represented by defense attorney David Lujan. It was back in November 2016 that Song was accused of forcing a 17-year-old girl to smoke drugs and then sexually molested the girl in his truck. Prosecuting attorney Leonardo Rapata says, quote, "We are very proud of the strength and courage that the victim showed. While we are disappointed with the results, we are more disappointed for the victim who had to endure almost 3 days of facing the defendant," as the victim testified during the month-long trial. Song remains detained and sentencing is scheduled for January 31st, 2020 before Judge Vern Perez. And a closer look now at the court documents filed by Imperial Pacific International CNMI requesting for a stay in their current lawsuit pending a criminal case from current FBI raids. These court documents bring light to the many questions the Saipan community has been asking for years now.
I have a duty to do and to continue what I am voted for, and I just respect the process, and I can't wait for the time to come where the truth will come out.
Following last week's FBI searches on his office, residence, vehicle, and brother's law firm, CNMI Governor Ralph Torres told KSPN2 News he looks forward to when the truth comes out, as does the island community and members of the legislature. CNMI House of Representative Minority Member Tina Sablan tells KUAM that people have been asking questions since the enactment of the Saipan casino law and since the Chinese company Imperial Pacific International's arrival.
There have been all kinds of rumors and allegations for years now, and you know, suspicion that there would probably be some federal interest in investigating some of the allegations that people here in this community have been talking about for a long time.
Sablan has been a voice in the community to speak out about the relationship between the local government and the casino.
From the very beginning, we have been concerned about violations of labor laws, violations of immigration law. There have been concerns about possible money laundering, and then, you know, more recently, also concerns about breaches of the casino license agreement and Imperial Pacific's failures to pay taxes.
Alleged violations have been surfaced through a motion to stay in an NMI District Court lawsuit case involving the casino filed by Imperial Pacific International's CNMI General Counsel Phil Tydenko. The complaint from back in December 2018 by 7 men from China alleging human labor trafficking incidents that occurred in February and March of 2017 at the casino construction site. These men and others went so far as to holding multiple protests on the island, and during the time, former CNMI Department of Labor Secretary Edith De Leon Guerrero made every effort to help the men. In an interview, De Leon Guerrero told reporters that there were 92 construction workers.
The workers were not even paid yet. Yet, I was called at 4 p.m. in the afternoon on May 8 to be given the instructions from Torres that he wants those workers on the airplane at 1:30 in the morning, May 9.
De Leon Guerrero did not comply, and the administration fired her on May 19, 2017.
The public needs to know that these are wolves in sheepskin. They're dishonest. They cannot be trusted.
According to NMI District Court filings, Imperial Pacific International CNMI is a defendant in at least 12 cases. The defendant's motion to stay in this case is scheduled for January. Tydenko indicated in the court documents that the current investigation arises out of the casino project, quote, which is the same occurrence upon which this civil action is based, end quote. Included in these court documents were the search and seizure warrants executed, a grand jury subpoena, quote, which seeks all the communications between IPI and the office of the governor, end quote, and the receipt of property. Governor Torres says he doesn't know the reason for the raids and was told by the feds that it's still under investigation. This week, the feds also visited the Casino Regulatory Board's office of the Commonwealth Casino Commission, or CCC. The CCC holds monthly board meetings with Imperial Pacific International CNMI officials for an update on the construction project site and a report from their finance department. The CCC commissioners are paid by Imperial Pacific International in part of the casino license agreement. While the investigation is ongoing, Sablan and other members of the legislature have started an internal inquiry on Governor Torres and the allegations.
The people in the Commonwealth are entitled to the truth, and there are so many unanswered questions now, and I think the people that we represent, are entitled to a better government and entitled to transparency.
KUAM has repeatedly reached out to Imperial Pacific International CNMI's office requesting an interview and has yet to receive a response. Stick around for more news here on Prime Time.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
At the mall, as you enjoy your shopping, dining, or entertainment, you could also win 3 great cars from Atkins Kroll and thousands of prizes in Micronesia Mall's Cars, Prizes, and Getaways game. Present your mall receipts and have a chance to win the renowned performance Chevrolet Camaro, the unapologetic rugged Toyota 4Runner, or the head-turning Lexus ES 350 Luxury. Getaways to Manila, courtesy of Philippine Airlines, plus prizes from Foot Locker and Burger King. The more you shop, the more chance to win in Micronesia Mall's Cars, Prizes, and Getaways game.
We value relationships because when we commit,
I love you guys until you're 80, until you're 90, until you're 100, forever.
We are in it for the long run, so you can enjoy the moments that matter. Because when we commit to relationships, we never stop caring. Calvo's Select Care, health care that is always there for you. Federal employees and annuitants enroll today.
Matson is in this community. We've been in this community for decades. We're gonna be in this community for decades to come. Things will get busy, things will get quiet, but we're gonna be here. We're your hometown carrier. And that matters to us.
Reliability is the core of our business. We take pride in ensuring that we arrive in Guam on time as scheduled.
It's our local employees who understand the market, who understand the business, and provide that hard work for you each and every day.
When we hold ourselves to high standards, our customers also hold us to high standards. We establish good business relationships that turn into friendships. That's why it's so important to be here and be trusted by your customers. We want you to trust Matson like your friend, like your family.
It's a special delivery to your inbox every week with your KUAM News Roundup, program advisories, and promotions. Sign up for the weekly KUAM Digital Digest today on KUAM.com.
Welcome back. It looks like the people of Guam won't be getting an annual address from Congressman Michael San Nicolas anytime soon. Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes had written the delegate a couple weeks ago asking him to set a date for the address, but the speaker did not get a response from Congressman San Nicolas. Today, the speaker wrote a letter to Attorney General Levin Camacho for clarity on the issue. Barnes writes to the AG, given that the statute requires that I be a party to the determination of a date annually, I write to you seeking your input to ensure that I am in compliance with the law. The speaker also asked for more guidance on the word annually and what steps will be taken if San Nicolas doesn't give an address before the end of the year. The governor and Chief Justice Catherine Merriman have already given their annual addresses this year for the executive and judicial branches. Local law says the speaker shall invite the delegate to appear before the legislature and give an address on federal territorial issues. And legislation has been introduced making sweeping changes to Guam's elections. Bill 246 does several things, including making the day of the general election a holiday. Nicknames on the ballot won't be allowed. It must be what appears on your birth certificate, passport, or any other identification, meeting Real ID Act requirements. The legislation also establishes a Guam Election Commission Recycling Revolving Fund. Bill 246 would also establish a Campaign Finance Report Review Division in the GEC. This new division would be responsible for reviewing and educating all election campaign contribution and expenditure reports. The legislation also bans a candidate who lost in any election in a primary to run as a write-in candidate in the same year as a general election. This also precludes candidates who ran in a nonpartisan race who lost in a primary to run for any office in that same year's general election as well. The measure would also shorten the distance for electioneering to be allowed on election day, changing it from 100 feet to 50 feet of any entrance or exit of any polling place parking lot. The legislation was introduced by Democrat Senators Joe S. Augustine, Pedro Terlahi, and Senator Tina Muñoz Barnes. And heading into the next round of televised impeachment hearings today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says Democrats have not yet made a decision on whether to impeach President Trump, but she did publicly accuse him of bribery, and that word is significant. There's also news tonight that more ears were listening in on phone calls that not only ties the president to a pressure campaign in Ukraine, but is also prompting concerns of security breach. Nancy Cordes reports from Capitol Hill.
Quid pro quo, bribery.
For the first time today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi used a term that has been gaining steam in her party.
Bribery, extortion and bribery. Bribe an ally.
Article 2 of the Constitution says a president can be removed from office for treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors.
That's a very serious charge. What makes this a case of bribery?
The bribe is to grant or withhold military assistance in return for a public statement of a fake investigation.
Could we be looking at an article of impeachment
I don't know
about
that. We haven't even made a decision to impeach.
The Associated Press reported today that a second staffer at the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine overheard President Trump talking this summer about the investigations he was seeking. The staffers had been sitting at a cafe in Kiev with Gordon Sondland, the U.S. ambassador to the EU, when Sondland used his cell phone to call the president.
What this call indicates is that the instructions are coming from the president on down.
At least 8 witnesses have now testified that Mr. Trump wanted Ukraine to probe his campaign rival, Joe Biden. Republicans still say it's not true.
They will continue to try to make something up when we have the facts of the phone call. We know there was no pressure to either leader, and the money was released.
Intelligence Committee sources tell CBS News they're now looking into Sondland's apparent use of an unsecured cell phone to call the president from that Ukrainian cafe. Security experts say that's highly unusual, especially because neighboring Russia has a history of hacking U.S. government phones.
Senators spent the past 2 days debating a bill to regulate digital signage in the Tuman H Resort. The legislation was patterned after the U.S. Signs Council's model on-premises sign code, which establishes the number, size, intensity of lighting and acceptable locations for signs. Sponsor Tina Muñoz Barnes. It meant to provide some uniformity within the tourism district, but the heavily amended measure drew a wide variety of amendments from colleagues, such as Senator Therese Terlahi.
In many areas of Bali, they have digital signs right next to the beach. I know that in several places in the United States, more places than I can look at, they too have digital signage. And while we can take into consideration tourist opinions on our island when creating our laws, it is more important that we determine for ourselves the kind of destination we want to provide.
I would prefer no electronic signs in Tumon. But if we are going to have them, I think it's fair to put parameters on them and to just make them a little bit more conducive to the atmosphere that we are trying to portray down there.
Some of the provisions include limiting the dimension of signs to a percentage of a building's wall size and only up to a certain limit. Off-premise information is also prohibited, and the brightness of signs is also limited. The bill is expected to be voted on at the conclusion of the session. And coming up, Dave has the Dial Rent-to-Own Athlete of the Week. Keep it here.
Choose, press, play. Check out the latest flicks at home on Docomo Pacific View It On Demand, powered by TiVo. Here's our top picks for the month. Choose, press, play, and enjoy endless entertainment with View It On Demand, powered by TiVo on Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Okay, so what are we thinking today?
Oh, I just need a trim.
Okay, well, luckily you are in great hands. Perfect.
The $1 stylist deal.
Is that it?
That's it.
Or you could get a real deal. McDonald's buy one, get one for $1 deal is here. Buy one of your faves and choose another for just an extra $1. Choose from the Big Mac, filet of fish, quarter pounder with cheese, and 10-piece chicken McNuggets, but only for a limited time.
Why would anyone run a race? Is it about finishing a 5K in under 20 minutes? Beating your personal best? Or running over 26 miles for a marathon? It's more than a race of time, speed, or distance. It's about being in a destination unlike any other. It's about pushing yourself and being yourself in a community of over 4,000 runners with people to cheer you on. It's because it starts here and ends here. Run in paradise.
KUAM Sports is presented by Triple J.
Dave Delgado here with our Dial Rent-to-Own Athlete of the Week, Christian Zanis. Now, first off, first year wrestling, man, and you decided to give the sport a try in your senior year over at Teason High School.
Yes. My brother would push me the years prior to this, and I guess to have a solid MMA background would be wrestling. So that's what also pushed me to join this year. And yeah, I look forward to it. 2-0
right now. Had a big, tough match against Southern High's Ellie Pakaigui, in a match where you had some goals in mind because of what happened in the preseason.
Yeah, Ellie actually, he beat me in the preseason and he beat me fast. Like, he ankle picked me and it was so fast that I didn't even see it coming, and he pinned me right away. So after that, I guess I took it home and I was like, I'm not gonna let this guy beat me again. So it was my goal to beat him.
And it was a very tough win. You ended up getting the pin against Ellie, but you know, wrestling is one of those sports too where you look forward to having tough opponents only because you really want to put yourself out there and test yourself, because it's one of those things too, like you say, you go home and you figure out, okay, well, these are the things I need to work on.
Yes.
And so when I do get my opportunity again, I'm able to capitalize on that.
Yes. That's actually how I feel like I beat him. In my opinion, he still is the better wrestler, skill-wise, but I just saw an opportunity and I went for it.
And the remainder of this year's season, you know, you still have several matches, but All Island Gold is definitely
Yes, that's a
something
goal.
you're looking forward to. But looking at this year's season, you and Ellie on top of the division, any other wrestlers in your weight class that you've heard about or you're looking forward to getting on the mat with?
Not that I know of, but whoever brings the challenge, I'm up for it.
The JFK Islanders stay unbeaten in IIAAG Boys High School Soccer. The Islanders improved to 5-0 on the season after picking up the 6-0 win over the Guam High Panthers last night at home. JFK's Justin Cruz with one of his 2 goals on the night, assisted by Taylor Bonner. JFK added another goal in the first half when Michael Castaneda took the corner kick and set up Taylor Bonner for the header. Bonner timed his jump perfectly as Guam High's defender missed on the block attempt. The home team led 3-0 at the half. Off the inbound throw, Castaneda took the shot and got it to go past the Panthers keeper. Noah Mueller scored twice, and Justin Cruz added another goal in the second half for the 6-0 win. The University of Guam Tritons men's basketball team defeated the FSAG All-Stars 104-97 in a close battle in the Triton Men's Basketball League at the UOG Cowboy Fieldhouse. Logan Hopkins led the way with 37 points. Teammate Michael Kwan added 33 points, 10 boards, 9 assists, and 5 steals. The Tritons are now 3-3 for the regular season. The KFC Bombers defeated Team Wu-Tang 112-90. The Bombers were led by Devon Cox with 37 points. Bombers lead the league with a 5-0 record.
It is the spirit within us, our soul, our essence that drives us to seek a better way, to create beauty and enrich the senses, to inspire fulfilling lives, to be at one with our earth and protect those who we love. Only by taking on challenges do we change the world for the better.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
And before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shout-outs from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
Here's your birthday shout-outs. Thomas Hernandez, happy birthday to you, along with Norma Roberto. We hope you had a great birthday. Rayleigh Santos, happy birthday to you, and Janice Cruz, who celebrates birthday number 50. Xander Hines also has birthday number 7 today, so his family sends their very best. Bobby Navarrete, happy birthday to you from Olympia, Washington. And also happy birthday to Kyle Toviz. Happy belated birthday wishes tonight to Angela Tenorio in Galacio. Hope everybody had a great birthday.
Remember, you can be part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club by registering online on KUAM.com. Please make sure to include with your photo your name and birthday. It's that time of the week where we announce the winner of a yummy Cold Stone Creamery cake. Zaya Made Mendiola, happy birthday and congratulations. A rep will be contacting you on how you can redeem your yummy cake. That's going to do it for all of us here at the news desk, but stay tuned. Jason is next with Extra.
Hafide, everybody watching us all over the world on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Jason Salas, and thank you so much for joining us for KUAM News Extra. Whenever we have Jenna Bloss and Joe Bloss in studio, that means either one of two things. Either it's a rockin' Bloss family reunion, or we're having some sort of exercise, which means that we on Guam can be safe from our friends that wear the uniform. Now, ladies, Hafide to both of you.
Hafide.
I'm assuming we're going to go with the latter, seeing as how you brought that wonderful sign and
Absolutely.
everything like that. But the Bloss family does throw really, really awesome parties.
Absolutely. You know we throw good parties.
Yeah, best Kelly Gwyn I've ever had was at a Bloss family party. So
There you go.
Yeah, thank you for your family for making that. But more important to the safety of the island right now is an exercise you guys haven't got coming up, Vigilant Guard. I can't even say that.
Yes, Vigilant Guard 2020, and it's Northern Command sponsored in conjunction with the National Guard Bureau. And they do an exercise. Here on Guam, the last one was in 2008. So almost every 10 years in every state and territory, they will do this Vigilant Guard exercise.
Now I'm thinking because it's every 10 years and the fact that we've got, someone from government of Guam and then someone from our friends in the military and everything like that, it's a coordinated effort. There's a lot of communication involved. The logistics are nuts and everything like that. So what particularly, Jenna, do you guys train on?
Sure. So from the government of Guam side, we were working closely with our partners. Planning was in place for this exercise way back earlier this year and even throughout last year as well. So from the government of Guam, we have participants that are going to be playing in the Emergency Operations Center. That's at Guam Homeland Security and Civil Defense, where they'll actually go through the responses as far as requesting for resources and making sure that they're deployed and making sure that they're able to support the National Guard throughout their exercise.
And Joe, this sign, if you guys can just hold that up.
Sure.
Because our budget is so wonderful, we can afford an easel. But that's a beautiful sign. And I'm looking at it. You've got some things that look like maybe natural disasters. There's a helicopter over there that implies it's search and rescue. There's also a chemical biological component to it. It looks like and everything like that. And then looking for a missing child, it looks like, and everything like that. So what are some of the staged events, Joe, that at least you know that you'll be covering?
Right. So when they do the Vigilant Guard exercise in any of the states or territories, they want to make it as realistic as possible. I think I was mentioning earlier, the last one they did in the States had to do with a tornado. Well, obviously we don't have tornadoes here, so they said, what is the worst possible scenario they can think of? A super typhoon, right. So we're basing it on similar situations like what happened in Typhoon Pongsonghua. So it's going to be a super typhoon, and then a lot of things that happen based on the super typhoon: explosions, chemical spills, search and rescue, and every time somebody calls into the 911 center, based on what they need, then they'll call for backup, which is the National Guard.
And I would dare say no one knows this better than our friend Jenna way over there on the other side of the couch. Jenna, because we've worked together for so many times on this, and when we have a situation like that, your agency is chiefly responsible for making sure you open up the hospital, shut down the airport, shut down the Port Authority of Guam. I mean, there's a laundry list of things you have to do.
Right. So
in a particular sequence, too.
Right. So for this exercise, we're really grateful to our partners with the National Weather Service. They've actually come up with some products for this exercise to simulate what a typhoon and what the impacts would be for the island of Guam. So we've been going through the exercise and the motions throughout this week for the actual storm to impact. But I know a lot of the response efforts are what the exercise is about. It's really after the storm has passed and what happens after that. So we've been really busy as far as this week, and we look forward to the next week as well.
And I would dare say, we've talked about this the last couple of times we've talked about these kind of exercises, because this is not the first, obviously.
Right.
We've had several in the past few years. But with the advent of social media now, both of your organizations, probably Jenna's more than you, Major, you get a lot of feedback from the community. You get this overwhelming surge, for lack of a better term, of there's a down power line in my place. There's a car upside down. I can't find my uncle. I'm hearing from my friends, do we have school tomorrow and everything like that. So are you incorporating some public feedback and figuring out how to kind of separate, the hearsay and, and the rumors and everything like that from what's actually going on around you?
I think every time there is an exercise, any of that's going to happen, because when you hear sirens and horns and helicopters and just a lot of activity, the community, if they're not aware of what's going on, they're going to call 911. And if it's not an exercise, then we know it's a real-world event that we have to respond to. But if it is the exercise, you can calm the public and say, it's an exercise. We're practicing how we respond. So, if it happens, a real-world event happens, we'll be able to respond. But yeah, everything happens through Guam Homeland Security. So when somebody calls 911, they have to see what's the situation, and then if they need help, they'll reach out.
How long is this going to be going on?
Well, Right now, the soft start happened, like she said. National Weather Service gave us feedback that, hey, there's a storm in the area. So in the National Guard, we've been doing heavy weather briefs.
This is an exercise, by the way,
Right.
if you guys
It's
just started watching.
Yeah. Correct. It's an exercise, so we've been setting up our task forces just like we would do normally in the Guard. We would start prepping all our equipment, all our facilities to be able to respond. Last night we did what we called a bronze alert, and we started notifying all our members, hey, be alert, be ready after the storm passes, you know, be attentive to your phones or your radios, and because you might be called in. So we've been doing that. The storm happens through the weekend, the simulated storm. And then all the incidences that we'll be responding to happens next week.
Okay, Jenna, is there anything that the public at large should know about? Like if they see, you know, heavy equipment flying down the street,
Of course, yeah.
sirens blazing?
So there's definitely going to be heightened emergency response activity. You can anticipate hearing maybe some loud explosions. We won't name exactly where or what time. Again, the players are going to be going through the motions as if it's a real world scenario. But you can expect some helicopters to be seen throughout the week, as well as some heightened military response efforts throughout the roadways. So definitely just seeing a lot of that heightened emergency responders. It's really just an effort for them to practice their procedures as they normally would.
And we've covered actually both of your organizations, and all the men and women that work on this take this very, very seriously. I mean,
Absolutely.
they are true professionals.
Both real world or exercises, our players, they're just incredible.
They treat everything like it's the real deal.
Absolutely.
No matter what. Okay, so thank you very much. We look
You're
forward to
very
covering
welcome.
this.
Thank you.
All right, please stay tuned. We're back after this.
I'm Ruby Santos. I'm from the beautiful southern village of Umatic. One of the things that we take pride in is promoting Guam through our music, through our original compositions of songs. Here on Guam, what makes us different is our people. When we can extend that Hafaday spirit of being sincere, being genuine, being truthful, being honest, that's all part of our Hafaday spirit. The hospitality, our hearts, the genuine friendships and connections that we establish, it's all from the heart, and they can feel it. The Hafaday Pledge is something that should be taught also to our children. I think when you plant that seed in them, they'll understand it at an early age how important it is to be hospitable, to receive and embrace not only our own culture, but to embrace the other cultures around us. We are all one people.
The beginning of the holiday season is right around the corner, and that, of course, means as proper Guamanians, we not only celebrate the time we have with our family and friends, we also give back to our neighbors because we do not leave our people behind, and we take our cue from our friends at the Salvation Army, whose mission literally is to take care of our islands less fortunate. We thank them for their continued commitment to that. Major
Yes, sir.
Tom is here, and of course, CJ is here. Gentlemen,
Hi.
happy holidays in advance. And
Yes.
I know it's a very, very busy time for you guys and everything like that, but you guys have one of the most amiable jobs on Guam because you guys do this amazing work. You do it with a smile on your face, and you do it relentlessly.
Right. Yeah, and that's part of our mission, being the Salvation Army.
Exactly.
You know, bringing salvation to people who need some hope, right, and some uplifting. And if you could do that through a meal or a new toy or however you could do that, that's what the message is, right? Just to bring salvation to those who need some hope.
Exactly, and of course, it's not just, you know, doing good for doing good's sake. There also is a mission with it, and, you know, you can get out of the unfortunate situation that you're in. There is a higher power if you believe in him and, you know, have faith and everything like that. You can do anything in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always a very uplifting, inspiring time when, you know, you let us serve with you and everything. So we always greatly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, so CJ, longtime friend of mine. We go back a ways and everything like that. Turkey Day is coming up and everything. What have you guys got in store for us?
Well, as always, we're having a big luncheon. We're starting to call it the Thanksgiving Fiesta, but you know, it's been traditionally called the luncheon over the years, and it's grown from, you know, in the beginning, the Corps would give away turkeys, frozen turkeys, and now it's literally a long line of people, the entire community coming together to serve people, not just the homeless, but our working poor, our manamko. A lot of people show up. We have a lot of volunteers, and yeah, the whole community comes together to feed a lot. Typically over 1,000 people that day.
I've been to a few Thanksgiving parties in my time here on Guam and everything like that, and that is one of the most proper feasts I've ever seen.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah, there's
it's
like, you know,
really good.
entire birds, you know, going down like 7 or 8 tables deep and everything, and you guys have the stuffing, all the trimmings.
Yeah.
And there's so many people there who are just so appreciative of it.
Yeah, and that's the blessing of it when you see 1,200 people come out or whatever it was, and it's just amazing to see the impact what just a dinner can do. Just a basic Thanksgiving meal for people who may not have a place to go, or maybe they are homeless, whatever the situation is, or they just want to come around with their families and have a nice meal. Whatever the situation is, it's good to have our dinner there for them.
But of course, that is a very hefty responsibility, and many hands make light work. So if there's anybody out there watching right now, it may be church groups, service learning students, want to help out the community, just people, they want to use the opportunity of the holiday to help and serve. Are they able to?
Right now, we're quite full up on volunteers. This is the one event that they start writing in September, to volunteer. But the public is welcome to join the feast, and also what we need to make a call out for is we need more turkeys and hams.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of sides. You just mentioned stuffing. We haven't gotten any of that.
Red rice.
Yeah.
All the trimmings that you would see around the table.
Okay, that's tomorrow time, I would assume, because there's no Thanksgiving that doesn't have red rice. So we're just taking our sweet time. The achoti is like getting ready right now.
Pretty much, and
we'll have it for you guys.
We're not in panic mode. We know it comes together at the end. But, but I of course have to say it. That these are the ones that are needed. So that if anyone wants to help, they could help in that way by donating. Either food or cash to purchase the food.
Okay, and then of course as we head into the later parts of the holiday season, particularly Christmas and New Year's and everything, these wonderful, we're going to hear a whole lot of this.
That's right.
And like the good book says, make a joyful noise. And and anywhere you may go into retail establishments, you're already thinking holiday shopping. I've got to get this, and this, and everything like that. But take a few moments and actually help the people who are volunteering, and ring those bells so that we can continue to raise money, so that we can allow you guys to do your good work, and we can help the people that need it the most.
Right. Our goal this year for Kettles is 60,000, and we've come close every year, and we're hoping this year we get enough volunteers to come out and really, take up some of our spots around Kmart, GPO, all the different locations, and really ring the bell hard, and let's get that 60,000. Now, the reality is that 60,000 that is given comes right back to the community. It's helping us pay for all the things that Christmas cost us to do, whether that's like the Thanksgiving feast or any gifts, any things that we need to do come Christmas time for the children that we have signed up. Last year we did about 1,200 children in Guam that received new toys with us, with our partners from the Marine Corps Toys for Tots program. So, we really try to do our best in the season to give our families the best Christmas. So 60,000, I know it seems like a large amount to ask for, to raise in, 4 weeks' time? But if we have enough volunteers come out and that extra change, that extra dollar, it goes a long way.
Okay, so Major, I got to ask you now, because you've now been on Guam, working out here for a few years. I remember, I think you were still in your second day when you first came here, when you came to the set, and I had the pleasure of interviewing you.
Right.
In that time since you've been here, you've been through, unfortunately, a couple of typhoons,
right.
A couple scares. You've been through many holiday seasons and everything like that. You're now a proper Guamanian.
Well, thank you. I'm privileged to be called that.
What does it mean to you to actually be part of this island family, and then what have you seen and what do you take away from being able to serve and be part of the Salvation Army in this community?
Right. Well, first of all, my wife and I, we love Guam. We feel like that we've been accepted by our staff, our volunteers, and people in the community that we made friends with. And I also see the need on Guam. I see it increasing in various levels, not just homelessness, but working poor, but also just the caring nature of Guam, the people that will help out anybody if you give them the chance. So we just, we really love being Guamanians and being part of the island community.
Well, that's how each of us is raised. My grandfather always said, if you got 2 scoops of rice and you see somebody else, say, the other one's yours.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. We look forward to working with you and all of your colleagues as we head into the holiday season.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for what you do.
Thanks, Jason.
All right. And thank you for watching. But don't go anywhere, because we got more coming up.